Before profile pictures, before memes on your Steam profile, before the obsession with avatars and cosmetics to match and meet a certain aesthetically pleasing loadout, the one thing that gave you away was your name. Your username was your first impression, your social flag, your self-made label. In our video game known as the beloved Team Fortress 2, and for that matter, most online games really from the 7th generation, your gamer tag, username, alias, what have you, it's more than just a label, a name. It becomes your legacy, the pen to your chapter. You can tell when someone started playing TF2, and I've noticed this by the way their name is styled, or at least you can get a good impression and kind of profile them and the kind of player that they are. Don't believe me? Let me show you. If you start really paying attention, you can read people through their usernames like tea leaves. That's what I call the schizo vision. It's the awareness that these aliases, these fragments of language, are like masks people wear to function in digital space. And just like real masks, they're never random. They're selected, crafted, sometimes ironically, and sometimes accidentally, but never without meaning. You have to just be willing to look beyond the surface, and once you do, it's hard to unsee with these things. I do this all the time when I'm playing Medic, and I'm sure other Medic mains do this as well. When I need to figure out who is worth healing and who isn't. Short lowercase names, probably a new gen or someone modern, or appealing to be modern. Like when old musicians try to keep up with the newer generation, but all they can bang out is a Christmas album. I really wonder what inspired this kind of naming scheme. I mean specifically the all lowercase short names. I feel like it was probably influenced by the post-ironic Tumblr and SoundCloud crowd. That's a tongue twister. SoundCloud crowd, which slowly immigrated to e-boy online culture around 2016 within like leafy videos, you know what I mean. And you see it everywhere with ats and handles across a majority of online aliases in social spaces today. What about names with clan tags? Let's go back a little bit, a few years. I'm sure in the modern playground of TF2, you've seen someone with Ham Mafia or something to that effect, a clan tag. The idea of gaming clans or groups of players banding together, it's not something new. We all know how tribalism works, but for me, it takes me back to earlier naming conventions, schemes, and styles. You can even feel the age on someone's account just by looking at whether their name has underscores, X's, numbers, or actual capitalization. You can see what they valued, what mattered to them, and what they wanted others to think. And all that just from a string of characters they typed out one day. Maybe in 5 seconds, maybe after hours of consideration, maybe it was just something funny for others to read in the kill feed. This is where it gets weird if it wasn't weird enough. Because names are, on the surface, linear. They're black and white on black, just text. But the social and emotional weight packed into a username often holds more meaning than a detailed profile picture. A profile pic might show someone's taste, their mood, their humor, but a name, especially in online gaming, and for our sake, Team Fortress 2, shows culture, intention, and usually crude humor. They are less adorned than colorful profile pictures, but far more revealing. A name without context is just code, but as I've said, the moment you've been around long enough, you start to decode it naturally. You know what kind of person types like that. You know who keeps changing their name to a different funny alias every other week. You know who's using their alt. And suddenly, something that should be completely anonymous becomes intimate and obvious. The ability to profile people becomes like a sixth sense, and before you know it, you can see the stink lines appearing above players without them having a clue. Regardless of judgment or intent with this weird little ability, I still think it's important to kind of cater to and understand ourselves and our names. And following that, let me tell you how I got mine. My first name came about when I was around 9. I grew up with Legos, who didn't in the early 2000s. I grew up watching a bunch of Call of Duty Zombies videos as a kid on the old YouTube, old school Yodi Slayer, or some random stranger bragging about getting to round 40 on NZ Subway, or whatever the first map was. But my first online handle came from a Lego Call of Duty Zombies animation on YouTube. It was the most high-budget, indie stop-motion film on the topic my 9-year-old self could find. It even had voice acting. In this film, based on the events of that preceded the first map, Nocturne Tod, a plane crashes into a German bunker, right? And prior, we hear the main character's name on this B-17 bomber, Sergeant John. At that point, with no email, no Steam account yet, just a Wii and the desire to be like the guy from Spy Kids, I couldn't just take his name. So I did what any 9-year-old would do. I wrapped it in X's. And such, XX Sergeant John XX was born. You see, this was the secret in case any online handle was taken. I'm sure it's still used today. Like, remember how gamer tags or most handles on websites could only be used once? So if you put a clan tag or some kind of character around the name, it was basically yours anyway, and people would have to get used to sharing. I also have had a lot of variations of online handles with that name, with and without X's, with and without proper spelling. Mainly, I have had a lot of history with the name John. It's been an evolving alias during my Call of Duty days. I went back and forth from it, and have had many fond memories using it. To this day, my close friends still call me John. It's not my real name, but it's stuck. Then I grew up. I got into anime. Yes, really. Like most teenagers, after watching cartoons with your friends over Skype, you hear about the moving doodles of the East, and after figuring out what Attack on Titan was, and a bunch of other incredible things I never saw growing up that were on Toonami, I watched Cowboy Bebop and saw the character Vicious. Cold, dangerous, poetic, in a brutal way. Before being inspired by the name Vicious, I was repping an old gaming clan I used to be a part of. I'll save that story for another day. But I changed my name to Vicious John to depart from that clan tag. It felt like a cool verb to put in front of a normal name, kind of like how Alexander the Great has the Great, except no one would believe you if you added that to your name, and the name gave you something to measure up to. When you win with the name Vicious, it felt good for a while. It felt powerful, edgy, mature even. Mature. I remember a few times I felt like it was a clan tag. Frankly, a funny memory I have with it is when I was 15 playing Modern Warfare 2 Search and Destroy lobbies with my buddies, and some guy on the other team, I think this was during an Afghan game, was named Vicious Thomas or Vicious Mark or something. He never messaged me or added me back, but I think it's funny how out there's always someone with your handle or something similar. Maybe a completely similar or completely different story to how they got theirs. But you're probably wondering what's with Voosh, the main name, the fast sound. One of my real-life buddies I met on a cruise when I was a kid over a Skype call during the Invasion update of Team Fortress 2 was really drunk and plastered, and he kept mispronouncing my name during a game of Doomsday. He misread it, Vooshish from Vicious, then Vooshus, which became Voosh. Suddenly, I was being compared to the online personality Vosh. This is real time. And people started using that as an insult in comments. It's really funny. I never intended any of that, but that's the nature of the name. They mutate, and you're going to end up with your neighbor's dog shit on your lawn too. You can't help the nature of these things. In online spaces, aliasing can be a whole different culture. Back in the day on Xbox, changing your name used to cost money. On Steam, it's free. That's why people cycle through names like outfits. One day, your friend is called Greg from the DMV. The next, they're just lowercase Greg, or Greg with a 3. And yet, you can still recognize and profile them by how they type, how they play, by the little things that usernames and even aliases can't fully hide. There's a kind of language in that familiarity. It's theatrical, performative even. You're anonymous, but you're known. I'd like to believe that's rare, and beyond that, in my opinion, it's art. Like my other video about profile pictures, I wanted you to think about your how did we get here moment with your name, because these things are minute to some and memorials to others. I would say it depends on your personal character and probably the name you're presently using. Sometimes, names can be trauma closets for people. Sometimes weird aspirational versions of ourselves. I've used names when I was sad about things, like losing during a competitive match back then, or not getting a pan the first time I played MVM. I've used names when I wanted to hide, and I've used names that were literal gibberish because I didn't want to be perceived at all. I wanted to be invisible in a pub. I'm sure you've done something similar, maybe you haven't. All of us have usernames that are tied to parts of our life, sometimes parts we don't want to visit, but they're still there. If you found your old Xbox Live or Steam profile with a weird name, you'd probably flinch and double take. I think it's important to remind you, yes, you watching, how to see people again. In the same way one of the last videos I made was about losing people, here's at least a progress report from someone who learned how to gain them again. You gain friends by being honest, by using your name, whatever name you have, and showing up fully. Not hiding behind 5 layers of irony, not pretending you don't care, not being an antagonistic jerk or believing that everybody hates you even when it feels like they do. People will see through that anyway. And the crazy part, most people just want a connection. They just don't know how to start. So start. Use your name. Say it first. Give them something real to grab onto. In a world where we're all shape-shifting through usernames, aliases, and digital clown performances, honesty, presently and unfortunately, is the rarest thing you can give them. It's also the most attractive. Because no matter what your name is, stupid, serious, ironic, aesthetically pleasing, what people are looking for is someone who means what they say, and so mean it. It's kind of like the ending to The Crucible, where John Proctor's executed as he refuses to sign a false confession to witchcraft. It's a good play, I'd recommend reading it. But instead, he chooses to die with his dignity intact, quote-unquote, but mainly him saying, next time you're in a server and see a name that makes you laugh, cringe, or stop and think, say something, type it out. That's how it starts. That's how the mask comes off and real friendships can begin. Not through grand gestures or poetic lines, but through small, honest moments. And even if it's just a passing exchange, when the effort's there, chances are you'll walk away with a little more respect and a little more connection. Because at the end of the day, your username isn't just a tag. It's a trail of who you've been, a glimpse of who you're becoming, and maybe, just maybe, the key to someone seeing the real you. So how did you get your name? Your TF2 name, your Steam name, an Xbox name? What's the progress been? What TF2 stories or anything like it shaped it over time? I'd love to hear down below. Or I'm advertising it here at the end of the video because I believe a majority of my viewers skip off halfway through. Come say hi to me in my Discord and tell me there, where I'm hoping to get to meet some of the cool people who have started watching and, have something to say in the comments. I always love reading all the comments, so I figure why not go somewhere more personal and kind of private so it's easier. The link will last 4 days after each upload. Good luck, and as always, take care and beware.